No, what's the fourth one?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, four. And then let me.
I don't have any. It's a vanity belt.
Have I said?
Yeah. Oh, are you making?
Got one. Here.
Oh, it looks good.
But you all look good, so.
We all look great. Okay, it's going through. It looks like it may be streaming already. Okay, it is. Let me just confirm that it's on. Yep.
Is there anybody else on?
Nope, but they could look at it later. Forgot, mine, do you have an extra one?
No, this is the magic, and we're all gonna share.
You guys are so funny. I might have an extra.
Bye-bye.
What I usually, oh yeah, there goes one.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanna enjoy me.
All right.
All right, thanks, bye.
Okay. We're live and ready to go.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
41, I'll call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll take a moment as we come upon this time of year for the holidays and family gatherings and our own religious celebrations. I want to thank the veterans who really made this possible for us to enjoy their sacrifice, and also their families that anxiously wait word of their safety and their return home. Thank you. Well, I guess we'll start with the roll. We have with us tonight, myself, President, board members, Eugene Ochoa,
Present.
Leslie Lindgren.
It was close.
Playing by.
One
Here.
day was there, and Michelle Leone, who is our new treasurer. So, let's see. Order of business. For those that have the agenda, are we okay with the order of business or anything to adjust?
Deferrals, additions, deletions. So we'll go in the order from old business, then new business. But for the board members, now would be the time if there's an item that you don't see that you would like to add, to make a motion to add it.
I moved the minutes as approved.
Okay,
I second.
all right. And I guess just for, well, I'll wait for my president report. Public comment. You want to have something they want to share at this time? For 3 minutes if you like.
Anybody from the public wishing to speak? Now would be your time.
Just the issue about lighting the entrance, this is what you had answered. I don't know if we were gonna speak of that today.
If that's something you're interested in bringing up, go ahead and make your comment and then we can talk about it.
Well, I was expecting it to be lit and it just looks kind of dark and empty.
Wait, you mean celebration wise or more lighting for protection?
No, for the holiday.
Yeah, okay,
The
yeah.
holiday lighting. I think we see the palm trees.
Palm trees.
And Wayne said he had done the guardhouse on his own and the rest. Now, was that budgeted for this year or was that even considered at all?
It had not been budgeted. And it hasn't been brought up yet either.
Or, some people volunteering to chip in some money and I think it's a good idea, although the block is beautiful, every
sure.
block is lit up, but I'd like to see our residents know that it's ours. It's just something, it doesn't have to be every palm tree, but something, something to just say, hey, welcome to Loch Lomond and happy holiday, So, that's really my only thing I wanted to bring up tonight, as far as anything extra. So I don't know what we have to do to do that.
I'm gonna
Is
share-
the town-
I'm gonna
is the
circle
town
back to-
involved, or
So the guard manages just the guardhouse and the items in place because of the guardhouse being there. So that the palm trees would be a separate HOA situation. It wouldn't really be brought up at the neighborhoods, unless if you wanted to put like on the guardhouse specifically.
Hmm.
Then the board could potentially look at adding that item to the budget.
Let me circle back to.
Okay, yeah.
Anyone else on their public comments?
Anybody?
I have a comment, but I don't know if this is a right time. The last meeting we had, there was a discussion about the lake and taking care of the lake. But we couldn't get into any agreement. In how should we approach the cleaning or the fumigation of the lake?
Yeah.
Um,
Albert has the letter put together and working on proofreading it, and it'll be sent to the residents that live around the lake, informing them of the progress as far as pricing and that. And then we'll hear back comments from them that live on the lake, how they feel about things moving forward.
For the record, no, that's not an item that would pertain to the neighborhood services district, but for the HOA, yes, just to answer the question. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Now would be your time. Once we close public comments, the discussion will remain at the table for the board members to have.
With this vetted information here, this is for the license plate trackers, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and the town's asking the community to pay for it, is that correct?
So anything that happens there would come from the NSD budget that's collected for the purpose of running and maintaining that area. So it's a decision that was asked, the board did
Right.
request for that to be put on, it was discussed. And so they'll have an opportunity tonight, whether if they want to make a movement on it, if they want to wait a little longer, if they would like to move forward, they will have the opportunity to make that discussion, to have that discussion this evening.
My only question would be, are there other, and I've seen some of these online, I'm usually one of 2 or 3 viewers online. Is this something that other special taxing districts or neighborhoods have paid on their own, or is that something that town has paid out of their pocket, or?
The ones that are on the guardhouses are paid for by those neighborhood services district, and there is another district within Miami Lakes, there's 2 technically. Royal Oaks East and Royal Oaks Section 1, they have them on all 4 of their guardhouses.
And they respectively pay for them?
Correct, they pay for them from their budget, correct.
They have
The ones that,
LPR,
yeah, they have
LPR.
LPRs, yeah,
and okay,
they pay for them through their budget, yes,
Any service that has to be performed, comes out of where?
their budget as well. There, we do have some on the right of ways, which are like the center, it's not on anything like that, and the town does pay for those. The ones that are on the right of way.
So just so I have it correct, though, something like this would only help us if a stolen car came into our neighborhood. It would do nothing for us if one was leaving. Is that correct? Other than to say, oh, one left.
So what they can do is the license plates that are recorded on that device are only accessible through law enforcement. So if there is an ongoing investigation where, you know, something occurred, they have access to look through those and be able, you know, based on the time stamp and the different investigating that they would do, which they could include, you know, requesting the footage on the different, you know, houses based on the time, they can narrow it down and get a plate number based on the time that the situation took place. So it is also an after the fact, you know, tool that can be used to help find the individual that did commit a crime.
So it's an after the fact, not necessarily a preventative measure.
It could be a preventative as well, if
If they're coming into the.
correct.
Okay,
Correct.
just wanted some clarity on some of that. Thank you.
Somebody live watching these plates?
It's not being watched live, but if a tag, so if a tag that comes through, it's an automatic system. So if a stolen tag or reported tag comes through, it immediately alerts law enforcement. And they are alerted that this vehicle entered this, you know, establishment at this time, real time, they receive the information. And not last meeting, the meeting before last, Gonzo actually spoke to that and said, literally, it happened at Royal Oaks where somebody entered with a stolen car and they were able to apprehend the suspect before before they went anywhere else. On their way leaving, they apprehended the suspect that was in the stolen vehicle. So that was one instance where it was like, boom, that's how they catch them when it's live time. So they're not sitting watching it, but it's an automated system that once there's a tag on a vehicle, on the tag, once there's I guess it's a red flag on the tag, it would alert the law enforcement real time as soon as they enter the vehicle.
You knew what you meant.
Thank you. My words are all over the place. Sorry, that was the 3 minutes, but I mean, if you want, I would extend it for if you had any other questions, because I was talking for a portion of that.
That's it. I watched a little bit of Megan last week, and so I know it kind of got brought up a little bit, got tabled for this one, so I just wanted to understand that it was definitely more of a reactive instead of a proactive approach to curbing some things. Okay.
And we will have the opportunity, I don't know if anybody has specific questions for, Gonzo, who has a lot of experience using the LPRs and dealt with them on several occasions. If you have any specific questions as it relates to that I may not be able to answer, we can write those questions down and I can actually give him a call once we reach the LPR section.
Mhm.
And then he can answer any questions that we may have live. If there's any, I would say, let me know so that I can start jotting them down. That way, when we call him, we have all of our questions in order.
One last item, if you don't mind. Is there a future net that the town plans on putting around the city? Or are they gonna depend on local communities to purchase these so that they know where people are at as opposed to pulling from the town budget?
I know that the town is planning on putting them on the right of ways where it's kind of in and out of some of the areas. I don't know exactly where the next ones are that they're looking at. This item was brought up because I know that security was a question and concern because there are some areas of the town that are not covered by the LPR system. And so this would have been, an additional added security layer for the community, but it's option. If you don't want to do it,
Definitely.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Comment?
Yep.
Yeah, I believe that, this doesn't bring us any more security. The town should actually put this, on the right of way out on, the main road, and it would serve the whole town, plus our community. I think the town should pay for it, not us. That's it.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak before public comments are closed? Okay,
Yeah, I just want to circle back to you, Roger. Are you familiar with the company that could do the work and everything?
Not at all.
Spearhead?
No, I'm only familiar with driving through and seeing it.
Okay, thank you for that. The last minute, on my report, at our last HOA meeting, we elected new, we didn't have a full election, but we replaced two board members that resigned. One, Robert Alonso, and Wayne Reinhardt, who we're grateful for his over 20 years of service to the board in various levels. He also resigned, and we did replace those two positions. Christopher Crespo will be a board member now, and Eugene Ochoa also. And Michelle Leone has agreed to take on the treasurer's position. So I appreciate that. I do want to circle back on re-announcing some stuff with this weather turning beautifully and great to walk around the neighborhood and everything. If you happen to observe your sidewalk and maybe it needs a little tending to, cleaning or something, great time to do it. So things look beautiful as you walk around. We have a young man by the name of Michael Basuto. He has, he's the one that put the box in the park, the library box, and he's excitedly reporting that people are taking books and people are putting books back in. So great things going on by the youth from Loch Lomond, because I believe the town has 3 of them are spearheaded from kids from our neighborhood. So we're quite proud of that. Also, she mentioned Officer Gonzo. He has, he's adamant about when in doubt, just call the police in a situation. If you have questions, if you're concerned, well, should I or should I not? Let the police decide, oh, that's an emergency or not. Please do call. So that's his instructions to pass on. Also, I know it came up a couple of times, animal control is the authority on animal situation. If there's an issue with someone else's pet or something like that, they are the governing body, I guess, handling animal issues. So just wanted to bring those forward. As we go into service issues.
Correct. So the options with the current security company, I know we had a meeting our last meeting, we kind of discussed a few items that we wanted follow-ups on and gave them 15 days to provide us with those follow-ups. They just sent that email, so I will read it off to you in response to the questions that we've had. So the first question was for the GPS tracker and data. One of the questions that we asked was how far back will the GPS data be stored for future review? And the response was for 2 days. Now the data is stored on the phone inside the patrol vehicle. And then he mentioned that they have the possibility to extend it for 30 days for $14.99 a month. That's not a cost that we would incur because the GPS tracking system of the vehicle per the contract should not come at any additional cost to the town. So they didn't respond to my response to that.
So we could request it be for 30 days and it wouldn't be any additional cost to us.
Correct. Well, the GPS system is not at an additional cost. It doesn't specify any additional items for the GPS system to be able to do. So I'll have to get with our legal and find out if that's a cost that we would have to incur, but.
Right now we get 48 hours.
Correct. And then question 2 was requesting that they provide a system that digitizes the vehicle information and stores it in a way that it can facilitate a search of the vehicles. So what they originally kind of presented to us was basically a log of pictures that they would just store via a Dropbox. They just declined the meeting that they've had the invite to for a while. So I guess they will not be enjoying this. So that system digitizes, we requested if there was a possibility to have a digitized system, right? So that we can say, all right, this date and this time, let me see the logs from this time period. The system that they were going to provide us with did not have the ability to search it like that. We would just have to go through the pictures and scroll through, which still would be better than looking at these logs because they're handwritten logs. So that's that part. So for that, their response was, we have a system that will take pictures of the tag, transform them into logs and arrange them in order. With that system, you will not even need a guard at the gatehouse if you choose to. The cost for that system will be $38.50 to install, $3,850 to install, with a $25 per month service fee. So that was the answer for the request to have the digitized system that you can arrange and easily search the vehicle data.
And they own the system or we own the system?
They would own the system and manage the records of it. And then upon request, we can receive any of the data from it.
Even after the contract expires or is terminated?
After the contract is expired, they still need to retain the logs for 3 years. After the date of termination. That's funny because I read that today, so I'm happy that I was able to utilize that. So that was the answer to that question. Number 3, would body cameras be a possibility? As you guys know, body cameras is not part of our current contract, so there's a hefty fee associated with that based on their response. It says the only way it would be possible is if we use a type of body camera that the police use that has a better recording time and stores the recording automatically. We're going to need more than $10,000 to purchase that one. And we're going to need at least three for 3 shifts. We found some cheap body cameras. Those body cam battery life are terrible. The data storage is small and we must download it every day into a computer. Please let me know what our next step is. So that was the response to that. So there would be a fee associated, but they do have a cheaper option that is not as reliable.
So the $30,000 that they want for 3 guards for 3 shifts, who owns the body camera? We do or they do?
They would own it and have to manage it and have to take care of it. If you would like for us to purchase them and give it to them, maybe that would be another option. But generally, any items per the contract, any items that they need to provide the service comes from them.
Thank you.
And it was a suggestion, body cameras isn't necessarily something we have to do, but it was a suggestion that was brought up and it was requested that we ask that of the vendor.
Mhm.
So I'm just providing the
No,
details.
no, you're right.
And I think it was primarily for the night shift anyway, is
Yeah.
what everyone was talking about.
I think it would be 2 for the officers that are there and then 1 would maybe be a backup. Is the thought why they're saying 3, because they don't have 3 people on staff. It's
No.
2 at a time, 1 in the vehicle and 1 in the actual guardhouse.
And then I think our idea was when we were discussing it, the actual guard at the guard gate
Would be the
so
one
then
to wear it.
You are talking to him and telling him, oh, I'm going to Presswood Place. And that's your record, that's what you're saying. And maybe an intimidation factor, but yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Do we have any other quotation other than the one they gave?
No, we have what they provided.
The one they provide.
Well, theoretically, you have 2. One for 10,000, which is the one that the police use, they're saying, and another cheaper version.
Yeah.
Yeah, they-
for the body.
Essentially, if the board were to make a motion and request that the town look into that more, we can do that and find other avenues for pricing if the board would like. for that to take place. Is that all on that? Would you like to?
Moving on what we discussed here. or-
So that's security issues and services. Now, since the last time we discussed, I gave my information and to reach out to me if there's anything that you see with the guards. Is there anything that you guys have seen that hasn't been reported to me as far as like the vehicle not sitting, the person inside getting the tags and making sure that they're checking the vehicle to see if it already has a decal or does not have a decal? Anything at all, you guys?
Yeah, I
There's
see
been
what you're saying.
improvement.
There's been an obvious improvement.
Yeah.
I think we really beat the horse really hard last time. I personally think that we need more. I don't know that this company, the way that it's structured, or the way our contract's structured, that we can get any more. I think we have to stay on top of them,
Mhm.
but I think they're kind of limited. That's on the service side.
Right.
I think and that's my own personal opinion. I'd love to get feedback from more residents, but we're the ones here. Technology wise, I think the guardhouse needs to be upgraded. I think we can do a lot more with technology, with the cameras. And not necessarily the OPR or even the body cameras. I think just the camera system and the software, the track who comes in and comes out. I think we can spend more there and get more bang out of the buck there. I don't know how you guys feel.
And the camera system that's there right now is owned by us.
No, I think we should own it,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you agree. I think we should have that. But I think it needs to be more robust.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot more that we can do with the technology.
Yeah.
I have some quotes, that were provided through the security. But, we have, Chris said that he was gonna kind of tackle that, so he's getting more information.
Yeah.
So that we can, upgrade that guardhouse to get a better technology. I think is gonna help out. As far as the service, a lot of improvement, the vehicle. But I think we have to step up the quality. I think we're gonna request more quality. I don't know if do you want to go over the list of stuff again for the benefit of those, or we've already discussed these out in the open, What do you think should happen?
What do you mean?
In regards to the guards,
Okay, you want to discuss specific requests that we can make based on our contract? for them to make. a
I like to know
decision.
when the contract ends.
It was just renewed July 30th
Okay,
And that's a 1 year.
for 1 year,
for 1
correct?
year, so it renews again in July.
Correct, but we can terminate for any reason.
No,
I
I
didn't know that's
think,
why you were asking.
well, I think that I think it was grossly bad. It's gotten a lot better, let's say. So, you know, you want to reward that positive. I don't think, I don't feel that we should terminate them right now. I think we wait because we still have to decide what is it that we want them to do more.
Mhm.
How do you, I guess I'm asking the other board members how they feel about it, but
I think we should continue with the contract. At least until another issue comes up where there's an issue of breach, or it expires.
in July.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
But
that's,
I think we should not wait until like 2 months before to start looking at our options.
Absolutely, because we could go out to bid and do that whole
Correct.
process, and that entire process does take
Yeah.
time.
But
So
I
we can look
assure-
at that around March,
And I assure you that you will pay more.
no,
No matter what.
for sure.
I think if we stay with them, we're gonna pay more because they've incurred more costs and they're gonna, you know, and inflation, you know, you could add 1,000 reasons why. But I also think it's an opportunity. In me talking to everyone, I think there was less resistance in, I want to make sure that we have to be cognizant of, even though they're not here, I just can't, just what I desire and want, everybody's got a different price point in their mind. But I think between good use of technology or better use of technology and really tightening up the security company, I think we can get a lot more value for our residents and the HOA in general.
I will say that's a great point to bring up around the time where we're discussing the next budget. As it stands, we have not budgeted for specific technologies. So those cameras that are currently out there
That's true.
from the year and a half that I've been here and
No, we
last year's
voted, we
budget,
voted the other day. You weren't here that day.
the HOA is separate from the neighborhood services district, and that's a separate special taxing district. So it's a separate revenue and separate everything. It's different. So when you're talking about something from the HOA and you collect HOA dues, that's separate from the guardhouse budget and
Maybe
the
I'm
neighborhood
confused.
services district.
I think we had voted last time that we were gonna take, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we're gonna take $36,000 or $20,000. I always have the
What
numbers correct.
he's talking about is we're at our HOA meeting, we have abandoned the restroom issue.
Correct. And Mr. Alonso made the same mention of that when we were talking about the budget this year. When we were doing the whole budget configuration.
Yeah.
Mhm. He
So-
made a mention, he made the same mention that
Mhm.
in that
Yeah.
vote.
So is that part of the special taxing district or is that part of the
Yeah.
HOA?
Correct, the special taxing
So
district.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
So
that's
what- Okay.
those 18,000 be pushed towards the security cameras.
And that could take place as soon as we begin discussing the budget. That would be the time to say, hey, we want to add a line item for technology advancement, and we can definitely add it on there.
Okay.
Yep.
But remember, the vets being bought with tax dollars, not HOA dollars.
Okay.
So it belongs to this town.
We just manage it.
Yeah.
And do the procurement process, go out to bid and all those things.
Now, do we agree that that's the way we want it?
That's not what we have now. We own the equipment.
Right.
We purchased it.
But do
with
we
the HOA.
want to own the equipment or do we want the town to own?
If you want to be able to view a tape, when your car gets stolen, it would be
We have to
better that
own
the HOA own it.
Okay.
Quick question, just to follow. The time when the people were here from the security company, I brought up the fact that one of the guards did not seem to understand me when I was speaking to her. And I was wondering if that was addressed, if they were all. at
He
least-
did address it.
I sent them the part of the contract that states that you must speak English and be able to write it clearly.
Did they answer that question?
They did not respond to my email to that question.
Because like I said, I had asked.
Not
I said,
question,
I heard
but
there
that
was
statement.
police shooting here. Did anything happen? And she go, oh, I forgot what it was.
Okay,
but,
okay.
yeah,
Have you seen her
it's
again?
okay, it's okay. You know, she was new. I've only seen her once. There've been a couple of new people at nighttime,
Mhm.
I think, and just driving through. I don't know if she's still on. But,
I'll find
you know,
out
we're
for you.
spending all this
Yeah.
money on technology. If the God doesn't understand you when you're saying somebody break it in my house,
Right.
or my car's been stolen, and all that money is really kind of wasted. So I just want to make sure that the guards, we can always communicate with them and they to us.
Absolutely, 100%.
Very good.
I guess at this point, since we're switching over treasury right now and get a grasp of where we're at with that particular checkbook and audit and everything, maybe after the holiday season here, we can reconvene as a board and look at those figures, how much we're carrying, and make that decision. Us get it or the town.
No, I'm,
Either way, you know.
I like to do what's best in our best interest.
Yeah.
And actually, I like taking a little more time because that way we can get better prices and better
Yeah.
quotes on the system.
Mhm.
And what I'll try to do is I'll try to do some research myself with Chris. Chris
Yeah.
has a scheduling issue, but I'll talk
Yeah.
to him a little bit
Mhm.
more. And possibly for our next meeting, have more information.
All right, great. Yeah, I mean, I guess I like the fact that, okay, the police can review it. If it involved your insurance company, the people they send out to research the situation, their private investigator, okay, we own that information, you can look at it and, determine your investigation too, because it probably even helps settle the case and stuff, if we own it instead of going through a third party, which I've had to do. Not here, but in one of the municipalities.
And in regards to the security company, have they been more responsive to you, do you believe? Or less responsive or the same?
I won't say less, but I can't say more because of that last email that was not responded to. We did receive a public records request. They were responsive as far as that goes. So they did send, the required information back to us, et cetera. But then there's other emails. Sometimes I don't necessarily get a response, like the other one that you mentioned when I reached out with the details from our contract that I just sent another follow-up. I'm like following up on this, and I sent already previously a follow-up email to it that didn't receive something. So I will say the same then. So sometimes I'll get good stuff, and then other times it's like I have to be like, wait, did I ever get a response to that?
I have another question. The vendors that we can choose from when it comes in July, it has to be, do we open that up to anyone, or are there just certain companies that are allowed to bid for that?
So we do have to go out to bid because of the dollar amount.
Mhm.
Anything over $15,000 does require it to be a fair and open process in the
Right.
sunshine. We just went out to bid, so we do have a current contract with another provider that we would be able to add this guardhouse to, because we already have a contract that does give us the ability to add on to another, and we could add the other sites that we have within town for the services. So since we already did that process, we can do that, or we can look at well, they weren't selected, so that we don't have a current contract with any of those other ones. Or if you would like to go out to bid separately, we could do that again.
I meant more like closer to July. If we wanted to, it would be more open to more companies, or is there a list of companies that are?
Well, no, it's open to everybody who submits and
bids.
qualifies
Gotcha.
based on the standard.
Gotcha.
What is the name of the other company?
SFM,
SFM?
South Florida Management.
Is that the same people that kind of right away?
They do, not right away, they are the company that currently has Royal Oaks, and now they just switched over as well to Miami Lake Section 1. Am I saying that right? Does that not sound right to me?
It seems like you've said that one before.
SFM. Yeah, they're the other provider in town currently. They have been at Royal Oaks for a couple of years now, and they just recently, this August, now have Miami Lake Section 1. They previously had Kent.
Which is Miami Lake Section 1.
Off of Balgoin by the park, by Veterans Park,
Okay,
the corner
that's
there.
south.
Mhm.
I don't know, but if you read the Facebook posts about some people who live in Royal Oaks.
They're not too happy.
not too happy. But anybody can improve.
And we have to pick lease price, or is it
If
best
it's
choice?
an ITB, it would be least price. If it's an ITB, an invitation to bid. If it's an RFP, a committee would be selected and review, and they would provide a recommendation. And this advisory board would also provide a recommendation that would go to the council, who would make the ultimate decision. The board, the council generally goes with the recommendations from the board, but as an advisory committee, they do make that final decision.
That's interesting. I like the RFP route, because we could ask for
More detail.
More detail and.
It is, we use the ITB for things like the guardhouse renovations when we were doing that for another district, so they were able to get itemized details, and it was basically
Have
the
plans
price.
at hand.
Correct.
Here we go.
It does also have more qualifications, the RFP, so there's certain years in business, certain clients, certain, dollar amounts of. Well, it's part of one of the things they get asked, and if they work with other municipalities, so some of those requirements disqualify some smaller companies that may not be, may not have been in business for at least 5 years, or, have references that are other municipalities. So it just changes, but either would be an option for you guys moving forward for that next step. We just have to keep in mind that that process does take some time. We have to come up with the scope and put that whole thing together, and we have to have, have time to properly advertise it on, I think it's called Project Star. Is that the?
No, I know what it is. It's the same thing to do for construction projects.
Yes, so it has to go on there, and it gets, advertised for a certain amount of time. We get the bids back, and then procurement has to go through all of the bids to see
Design
who
Star, I think it's called.
is with it.
Design Star, I think it's the word.
Something Star, I believe. You might be onto something with that. I don't know the exact name.
Another question, who pays for the cost of the RFP, the town, or are we have to pay?
It
for
goes
that?
through our procurement
Procurement
process.
process, no additional cost.
Correct,
to
no
it?
additional profit, not, and if you look at the budget, there's a section that there is a percentage of costs that go to the town, and that goes towards, attorney fees, it goes towards any town involvement, so billing and budget, all the different other individuals that assist with the NSD budget and management of it. Mhm. We're good for the landscape update.
Yes.
So we discussed in our last meeting that the front there, that area in the front, we received quotes a little ways back to kind of change it up and do it up. But the board decided, no, we don't want to pay for anything. We want to make sure that it gets, handled. We did reach out again to the previous provider to see if they would just cover the cost, put the new plants in that died because of the different issues that they were having up front there. And they have been unresponsive. So the town is prepared to cover the cost to add new plants to that section. But I wanted to give you guys an opportunity first to see if so the quote from our current vendor is about $2,400 to replace all of those dead hedges with newer ones. So that we could move forward with that, and the town would eat the cost of that $2,400 expenditure. But if you're adding a new plant, it's not necessarily going to be the same size as the existing plants. It may look a little bit different until it fully grows out, etc. So I just wanted to provide you guys with another option, maybe redoing that back and taking all of those plants out and changing it up and making it nicer, with the town potentially still covering that $2,400 of it, and then the rest will come from your budget if you wanted to just redo it and do something nicer, opposed to just us replacing the ones that have passed on to the other side. So I'll show you what that looks like. I thought it was front and back. This one's front and back.
It
So
looks
they-
like the traffic circles, and I vote no already.
Fair enough. Fair enough. If you're not interested, that's okay. I just want to
Have
give you
all
guys
white,
an
I'm gonna
option.
go with your
I don't know if you want to pass that around to the individuals up there as well. So that is one option, but,
But that option is, this option is the complete, this would be new? Or
it would
this,
be completely new.
right, but what I'm saying is there were two options. One is to just replacing kind, the city would take care of it. That's not this.
Correct.
Okay, this is to do it all new.
This is to do it all new, but the town would still
Okay,
contribute
up
that
to
same.
2,500.
Correct.
And the rest would be
The rest will be on us.
It's 6,000 total, so the rest would be about
4,000.
I think we would do better with something, more like a zero scape.
okay. I
It's
don't
kind
know
of
what
what we
zero
have.
is, but I can ask. Is that what they have now? It's so like a low
Yeah.
maintenance.
Yeah, these
Like
plants
bromeliad.
would die, like
Yeah.
blue days, I know it well, and
Yeah.
you just, those are just seasonal.
Yeah,
Seasonal.
we need something with bromelia that gives color and is low.
I'm gonna have this advantage here, so you guys tell us.
Yeah, me
Unless
too.
somebody.
Where is this? Where?
in the end-
Right behind the sign,
Right behind the sign.
behind, yeah, it should-
Now, all the circle bushes going on, which really wasn't what we wanted to begin with.
I don't, I heard
Wasn't, that's
some
why
back
we
and
voted.
forth stuff every time we talk about it. I heard that before it was
We have,
flowers that didn't do well either, so now they switched to hedges and the hedges aren't, so.
no, the hedges that we received were not the hedges we
That you
voted for.
wanted.
Correct.
Mm.
It was, they came in with a different type of shrubbery than what was initially said we were gonna receive.
What is it that you guys wanted?
I don't remember the name of it, but I have the picture of what we were,
Can you send it to me? Because I
Yeah.
mean, it's worth
Yeah.
trying. We are with a new vendor now. The previous vendor is no longer with us. I'm not sure if that's something that came from them or, but I think it's worth looking into, trying to get what you originally wanted, since there's gonna have to be change back there anyways. That's why before I pulled the trigger and said, yes, just go ahead and change them out. Let's see what the board kind of wants to do.
But what kind of cost are we looking at? Because it was very costly for the
$6,000.
For
first.
this, it's about 6,000. It's on that page. If it's not on that page, it's on this one. It's 5,900, but again, the town would still cover the 24 that.
And that, is
we
that
would originally-
59 times 2, or that's 59 for both?
No, that's total for both.
Okay.
We should get Monica in.
We just keep, go with the town plate, the 2,400, and they're committed to take you whatever.
I would like to see something like a different. Yeah, not, I agree, I don't think those flowers.
They
are
don't.
that I'm not-
They don't.
It wouldn't be the flowers, but what he just mentioned is just replacing the dead hedges from the back.
What kind of plant is that right now?
Those are called, we were supposed to get, I believe they were called hollies. It's like what Robert Alonso has in the front, where the hedges were supposed to look like uniform and you were able to cut it to box it. What they brought were like individual. Because if you can see, they've never been able to unite them. They kept saying, well, they just have to grow in, they're all gonna grow in together. It's never gotten to that point. You know, so it wasn't what they had promised us or what they had showed us, you know? I believe I have the images and I believe I have all the,
That'd be great if you can pass it on to me, and then I'll get some quotes for that and find out if that's something that we can do instead. So if we're able to locate the plant that you're looking for, is that, because we could also make a motion to do that, so we don't have to wait for the next meeting. So that's up to you guys if you wanna, or do you just wanna? Is there a price range that if it's within this amount, you guys are okay with moving forward or not? It could be a pretty broad range motion as well. But if you would like to just wait until our next meeting, that's okay too. Right now,
Yeah.
we're at December, it would be March. That's a lie,
growing
February.
season, so why don't we wait?
It'd be February.
It's not a time of year where things are growing anyway, so.
I think the danger you run is that you spend this money and then they start dying. And
Yeah.
now it's. you
Now it's not
fail.
the growing season.
So wait until the February meeting.
Yes, ma'am, that would be my.
I said it.
Buy a lot of holiday lights.
For every holiday. Until February.
Read.
And that was the landscape update, and then the lighting. Has there been any issues with the two lights that are on the? I believe that was all taken care of. The rust is not there anymore, which the new vendor seems to be on top of it, which is great. Because it happens fairly quickly. It's just from each time those plants are watered that it accumulates that rust. So if they're not on top of it, it shows immediately. But every time I pass by for the inspection, they're on, so it looks good.
Okay, great. Moving along into new business, the LPR. At our homeowners association meeting. And if there's any opposed to what I'm saying is, we agreed to table that discussion. Continue our studies as far as whether we want to go that route or
Okay,
not.
fair enough. So you want me, next meeting, I'll just add it to old business
Okay, yep.
and then, okay, not a problem at all.
More education, more input from the neighborhood people from what's involved with that particular.
Yeah, and I think our main is to improve, if we can improve the technology in the guardhouse first, and if something comes up. Yeah, I think that's the best
Best option.
option.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
And that goes right into guardhouse inspections. So I purchased just a new fridge and a microwave. The ones that were there have like rust when you open it and it was in pretty bad shape. So I went ahead and replaced those. So that's already there. In going there, there's a lot of items that just kind of get like pushed to the side and like, you know, it's not working. They unplug it and they just kind of like push it to the side. So I'd like to do like a cleaning of that area, like, because every time I go and I'm like, whose phone is that? And they're like, I think that's yours. I'm like, garbage, throwing garbage, like, we're just holding on to things that aren't working or they're, you know, obsolete as far as technology goes, so we can get rid of a lot of stuff and clean that place up a lot. And so that's each time I'm trying to like take a couple of things and throw them in the back of the truck to toss off, you know, the bigger items that are damaged and, you know, shouldn't be in there. There's an AC unit under the table there
Yeah, that goes back to when
it originally stopped working and it was,
yeah, and it took a long time, so
Yeah.
the residents were very,
so it's just, we want to keep it in there, we don't want to store it anywhere else.
we'd love for it to be kept. I mean, if you had a place to keep it, I mean, if we.
It doesn't belong to us, so we
Right.
wouldn't, I know,
It was a tough situation, but the response to get it replaced just
Right.
wasn't there, and then I know there was something wrong with something. And they went a long time without an AC.
I just wanted to bring it up because I want to do a clean out and make the place look a little bit nicer, but with the huge box, there's not a lot of space in there, but it's fine. If you want us to keep it in there, keep it in there and it'll.
Well, if it breaks, at least they have, this will work.
Next one.
It functions, yes.
Yeah.
And
I
so
believe
they-
it belongs to the HOA.
Yes. Just,
Put it over to the bathroom area. Is there storage in the bathroom area?
But that somebody else.
Yeah.
I guess we can brainstorm an idea on.
Storage unit?
Or if we were able to like
I guess-
reorganize in there a little bit, I could probably put it on the other side to kind of free up space there, because right now the signs they're kept behind the table, which doesn't seem very functionally sound, because in order to access it, like you literally have to go over everything to pull it out. So maybe a smaller desk, so where those things could fit a little neater in there, and there's a little more
Yeah,
wiggle room. So I'm just looking at different options and just how to like, I know you mentioned like make it look a little nicer. There's just a lot of old items that are just kind of there. So if there's any items that belong to you guys, the HOA in particular, that you want to hold on to, no, everything, I'm gonna clean house.
Everything.
Other than the air conditioning,
It is-
I can clean house. Okay. Just wanted to get that clear. So, I know you talked about the elections. The last thing that I kind of wanted to discuss is the right track, wrong track survey. So this is something that I guess was voted on before I was brought on to being the liaison. And so I didn't really know that we were supposed to be doing it, but it was brought up and I was like, oh, I'll look into it. So it was, you know, they did read it and they do want to do that for every district annually, a right track, wrong track survey. So this is a survey that'll go out to the residents and they could provide their feedback. Are we doing the right thing? Some of the different things that we did for the other district is we did like a new landscape update. And so we asked them, do you like the new landscape update? For the Lake District, we added an additional service to help the lake do better things. So we asked in the survey, did you notice a change from when we added this? And, you know, different things like that, just to kind of get some sort of feedback. I will say we've been using Survey Monkey and doing it as a mail out. And so the response has been not super great. We received 3 back from the Lake District, but there's only 182 homes. And so only 3 people, 2 which are on the board, filled it out. So it's been tough, but we are going to try something different moving forward. A QR code, a little, you know, tech savvy. We can actually have the survey accessible by a QR code where they would just hover their phone with the camera and then be able to do it like that. And we can include the instructions on the mail out of how to do that. Or if you guys have other ideas, I mean, you guys are a bit of a smaller community, so you could utilize your HOA to help spread the word.
How many people do you think in our neighborhood even know what a QR code is?
Fair.
As opposed to email.
How do you spell that?
Fair. If you guys have their emails, that's another option. If you don't have them, if you give them to us, they're public records. I don't know if you prefer we send you that survey and you guys share it with the residents for them to, just because, you know, it's up to you how they'd like to proceed.
I'd say you do it one through the chat. If there's a link,
Absolutely, there's a link I could send.
send it through the chat and then provide the emails and it can be sent to them so that,
Love
you know,
that.
there's two ways of doing it. I've used that survey. It's pretty.
It's great because it complies with all of our needs for preserving the public record and everything. So it's great and it can keep it anonymous and we can analyze the data, read it aloud, figure out what's going on.
I didn't mean to imply that our neighborhood is dumb or that neighbors are dumb. It's just that a lot of people are not real familiar with technology. That's all I was trying to say. It's probably easier to send it by email.
I think that'd be the most convenient way to do it.
Yeah.
Just most of our other districts don't have the emails for every resident, so the only way to do it would be a mail out. But this is an awesome, you know, option. So what I have before you, I gave you just a draft.
I don't have that.
No, it's not one of your papers. Let me see, I think I have another one right here.
All right.
Yeah, it's a separate, just random sheet.
All right.
What's your vision of timing on sending this?
Anytime this fiscal year, I mean, it hasn't gone out yet, so I don't think anybody's really waiting on it, but this,
Well, I guess, because we're getting the information back from our residents, providing us their emails and everything. And then I guess this would be a perfect time to ask somebody what they think as far as floral
that's not a bad
terminology.
idea. That's not a bad idea. We can actually add that to the survey. I think with the pictures, select A or B, and that way you can get a real-time poll on what they would prefer for the front there. You can get renderings and everything.
That's such a smart idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
For your friend.
For life.
And I guess we probably have that list ready by mid-January.
Yeah, not a problem at all. I mean, as long as it gets done before the next fiscal year, which would be October 1,
Mhm.
we would comply with the request to have it annually. So as long as it's within that fiscal year calendar, we're good.
Mhm.
Now, everyone seems to get the decals now.
That was
Maybe
another,
Giving out the decals, you could give out the information as to where, because
Yeah, they'll have those.
that's, you know, everybody's gonna get decals. Not everybody's on the WhatsApp.
Right.
Not everybody reads their email, but everybody's gonna get decals for their car.
so that is one avenue. If we're doing this as a mail out that's going out to every home, we can also include other information that the HOA would like to include. You know, information on how to get a decal, becoming a member of the board as well. I kind of just put that there in bold to see if that's something that you kind of wanted to add to it as well. We can kind of, whatever we want, the blank slate, whatever we want to send out, as long as it's relatively, you know, 1 or 2 pages front and back. We can kind of include that information in that same mail out.
I think it's a great idea.
Mhm.
So we're gonna do mail
We would do a mail out
out,
officially.
the WhatsApp and email.
Yes. Because from the WhatsApp, we can actually, you don't even have to ask for their emails throughout the WhatsApp, depending on how many people are in there. You can just send it in there
Right, it'll be a
and then
link.
they can all do the thing
Is that
without,
per household or per person?
that's a good question. I mean, we want to get a general sense, but I mean, if husband and wife live under the same roof and they feel differently, I think it's fair to note as well.
That's a no-brainer in my house. See, I'm half a point.
You have a point.
She's 1.5.
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah, that's right, husband, wife, sometimes even children.
I think that's fair. It's not specifically, you know, based on, you know, each resident or whatever. So I think that would be fine as long as we're getting feedback that can help, you know, show numbers that everybody's kind of, you know, leaning this way or that way. I think that's really the goal.
It's opinions, not a vote, so it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah,
I like it.
sounds good.
Yep.
So what you have in front of you are just preliminary questions. I like literally just threw a few down, but if there's anything that you want to add to it, if you can just email it to me, or if you talk to your neighbors and you find that they want to know about A, B, or C, you know, send it to me. And that way I can compile the final mail out and what it'll kind of look like. And then we can go from there. Once it's approved, we'll move forward. But you can send me the pictures of the other plan you were talking about.
I will.
We'll go ahead and get some renderings done
Just
for that
make
area.
sure,
Hollies, I have hollies and bromeliads. Is that? Is it bromeliads?
Approximately, but gee, that looks like my house, right?
Flowers, pink flowers.
What happens sometimes with those flowers, I think you have a lot of debris. They tend to fall and then it may look ugly out there. And the colors of the rocks may change too, because the droppings of the flower, someone's gotta go out there and blow all those flowers. Who's gonna do all that? Huh?
I didn't think of that.
Okay,
So is there?
any other business?
Guys did great. I want to say thank you to the board for showing up and to all the residents who showed up. You guys probably have like the least amount of people, but the most amount of people showing up consistently as far as the public. So hats off to you guys for being involved and like, you know, coming and letting your voice be heard. That is awesome. We have residents that are like 800 residents in some of our other places, and unless if something happens, you don't really see very many people.
That's
So
up to. But we thank you for hosting us.
awesome.
The hostess with the most.
Before we adjourn, one of the items that keeps on coming up, and it really has nothing to do with the guard district, but something that has to come up is, the police making regular rounds through Loch Lomond. That's,
Has anybody seen a cop, any cops?
I've seen them on bike during the daytime. I have seen them in the bike coming around pretty quickly, just, you know.
maybe that's a
I have
question for
seen it.
Gonzo.
You need to
Yeah.
ask him.
I heard that there was an unwritten rule that they were to come at least once between the hours of midnight and 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
every night through Loch Lomond.
And you're saying you haven't seen him. so
Well,
you're
I
curious
haven't
if
seen
it's
them. I don't know
happening.
that they're not doing it.
Right.
Just if that's still happening or they're more of a presence.
You did say that it was an unwritten rule,
No, it's unwritten, absolutely.
but I can ask. I can ask, because it's good to know if you're, because it's good to know if they are, or they're not, you know.
I've seen them occasionally, especially on the weekends, because I'm up after midnight and I have seen the part.
You've seen them around.
Yeah, I have. I mean sparingly, not like every day like you're
Right,
saying, but
right.
you know, I have seen them sometimes on Saturday, Friday and Saturday evenings, because I've been up after midnight.
With the lights on, Michelle?
No,
That
you
would
just,
make a difference.
no, you don't see the lights on, but you do see them and they're going really slow and you tend to look out and you know it's the cop car going.
There we go.
Yeah.
And just to make a note of that, since you mentioned them driving around, I know we do have the second guard that kind of is supposed to be doing that with the lights as well. But the other security company does, they do supervisor visits with the, but that's for the districts that don't have a roving vehicle, so maybe that's your situation. Right.
One of the spots where they have to take pictures is right across from my house. And I always see the guards now doing that, and almost all the guards.
Couldn't do it.
That's great, that's a great mention, that's great. That's
I
great
think
you're doing
they'll do that. They're getting out and. doing
Good. Good, as they should, yes, that's awesome, happy to hear that. So for the survey, we can ask questions about the service, we can, you know, ask any of those questions if they've noticed a difference since, you know, the last meeting where we kind of like dropped the hammer on them a little bit, so that's a good, yes, they do, no, they don't, that's a good question to add to there as well.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all those in favor, aye, none opposed, that passes.
Have a wonderful holiday, everybody.
Happy holidays. Turning the pen. You're awesome, thank you.
No, not nice. Good. Smile.
How they came more. A lot of lights.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Put up a sign that says